Ever wondered if there are AI tools that can help us in AV? Our guest for this CharBett Spotlight is from AvCodex here to show us exactly how it's done.
This is AvCodex.
So I've got Clayton Creed with us, AvCodex. And Clayton, you're doing a lot with AI. You've been in the industry for a while. You've done a lot as far as integration. You've done a lot as far as distribution is concerned. So who are you? What is AvCodex? And why is AvCodex coming around now?
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me, Joel and Erica. And without getting in too much detail, I mean, I got into the AV world from an audio engineering background and getting some connections. So I think there's probably like a lot of commonality that I find and share with
Of course.
lots of AV people. We have this creative kind of background, whether it's, music or film or whatever it might be. And we end up in this kind of niche little world. And I ended up, I don't know, about 15 plus years ago at an emerging or starting distributor here in Canada and spent some time there, and then eventually made my way over to the integration side of the business, where I partnered up with a local business partner here and helped get a local integrator here acquired and sold to another Canadian integrator, and spent some time doing that. And through some of that journey, particularly the past couple of years, I really dove heavily into AI and learned a lot and spent a lot of time. I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, but learned how to do some of that and learn some of the power that we have at our fingertips now with this emerging technology. And I have an operations background, I have a sales background. I'm always looking at how we can streamline and apply things to improve our business and what we do. And I've found diving into AI, there's this immense power to not replace people, but enhance what we do and break down knowledge silos and how we can interact with our clients and how we interact with each other in different ways and some more fun, creative ways, but also more efficient ways. So as I was developing and building out some custom stuff for local manufacturers and local businesses here, I thought of how could I apply this back to the world that I've spent 15 plus years in various seats, and how could I make that simple for people to leverage and use? So not needing to spend 18 months learning how to code and develop software, do all of this kind of technical stuff. And, being on, when I was helping run AV businesses or integration businesses, the time that you have is very limited, right? You're not going to have the time generally to dive into all of this stuff and really get nuanced with it and understand it. So how can I bring that knowledge that I've acquired and leverage that back into an industry that I care about and have a lot of passion for and a lot of experience with? And that's where AvCodex emerged from. So we thought, how do we build out this simple AI platform that could allow businesses to develop their own AI agents within their business, whether they're customer facing or internal, more operations or helpful agents, in a way that wouldn't be too overwhelming for people. And I think that's what we've tried to start to achieve with the AvCodex platform. And it's new. We're new. I think as of this conversation, maybe 3 weeks old. So we're we're fresh out to market with it, and we're learning and iterating along the way, and having a lot of fun conversations over the past 3 weeks. So learning where people are with their AI journey, and whether at the very beginning, whether they haven't even started or whether they've already started to do stuff, and having those conversations and iterating as we kind of go forward here.
So I know that AI is still pretty new, and there's a lot of people that are familiar with the ChatGPTs and the Claudes, those learning language models. But you're talking about agentic AI. Can you tell me a little bit, for those that don't know what AI agents are, what does that mean?
Sure. So when we're talking about AI agents, we're talking about an agent that can connect to a whole bunch of different resources, whether they're other applications, whether they're databases, whether they're API calls. And we're connecting all of that into an agent that has a very customized prompt and understanding of what we want to accomplish with that agent, or what that agent's function is going to fulfill, or what their role is going to fulfill. And then we need to deploy that agent back out to the client or back into the business in a way that can function and work within the tools you already use. So, for example, like a knowledge agent based around like maybe like senior tech's knowledge around certain rooms or projects that they've done, taking all of that knowledge in a knowledge base. And again, we can connect to many different ways. And then bringing that in and then deploying that information back out to say through like, say, Microsoft Teams, if everybody's a Teams platform, where a junior technician could simply just call on that senior technician's agent or bot or whatever you want to call it and ask for that guidance, ask for that troubleshooting guidance within that room. If that junior tech was on site, rather than always needing to make a phone call, they could just use the agent and get that information and learn because we have all of that knowledge. So I don't know if that kind of like helps kind of like articulate one way that we can deploy an agent within a business.
So an agent has a very defined set of skills and a role. So you could have multiple agents, like employees. Each one would be called upon as needed to complete a particular task.
Yeah, absolutely. We can even get more specialized and skilled with that, where we can have like a master agent. Think of this as like a generalist agent, and then have specialized agents that work within it. So we can kind of execute all of the tasks separately and then bring all of those different agents or roles back into the master agent and then deploy that back out through the organization, depending on the need and how they want to do that.
So a question for you on that, because, I like the agent idea, and agents are key. And, I kind of set up my own, not an expert, but it has helped me a lot. When you go and you would talk to somebody and they go, Clayton, this is awesome. I just use chat. I just use Claude, right? And I know my guys use it. They're out there, they're individually doing it. What is the reason that they should be doing this and pulling it together? You've mentioned it, but where is just having each individual only using their own version of chat, their own version of Claude, or insert Gemini and everything else? Where is that maybe not the most productive way of people using AI in their day-to-day business?
Sure. So there's actually a few things there. There's like the productivity. So how do you manage multiple license payments and all of this kind of stuff, depending if you're going to like standardize on a specific LLM. There's that piece. There's what knowledge base are we all using a shared knowledge base or not? And that's where like defining and building out agents with a very specific set of rules and a very specific database, and then defining the agent to say, hey, we're only going to look at this material. We're not going to go out on the internet and try and make a next best possible guess. So like a regular LLM, kind of, that's how it works, right? It formulates what the best possible answer might be that you want to hear. When we're talking about like reasoning agents, so like, Opus 4.7 now and ChatGPT 5.5, they're reasoning agents. So they actually come up with like the 10 best possible answers and then pick the best one out of that to give you. So like we're always kind of guessing a little bit as to what you want to hear and what the answer should be. And there's lots of other, you can go read other like case studies where they've tricked the agents to tricked the LLMs to come up with like wrong answers based off of pumping Reddit full of a whole bunch of fake information and getting that information back. So like if we want real true information, we need to basically build our own custom RAG system to do that. And that's something that we can do on the AvCodex platform, that our agent then talks to that knowledge base or that RAG system to be able to pull that specific information back. So there's that part. There's the governance piece. So we have to know, like, when you're talking with agents, that like OpenAI stores that information. Like, they don't actually determine how long they store that. So if it's company information, private information, you want like proper governance and security around what your company's information is being put into a public domain. And Anthropic only holds it for 30 days. But like with AvCodex, we also have like a zero data retention model. We're also can be HIPAA compliant and SOC compliant as well. So there's ways that we can leverage a platform to provide extra security and governance around what we're doing. So might have got off a little bit there. Hopefully that kind of like distills a little bit, but really what we want to do is we want to empower the team and break down the knowledge silos and give everybody centralized knowledge to pull from. And then we want to put that knowledge back into everyday tools that we already use. Maybe that's Teams, maybe that's Slack, maybe that's another communication platform that you use. So we don't have to worry about tool adoption and yet another tool in the tool stack that we need to work with every day.
You mentioned something, and I want to bring it up quick because it's about security. And security is key. And everybody uses AI, and a lot of people, well, I'm not going to say everybody, a lot of people use AI, and security comes up, but a lot of people kind of shrug it off and go, I'm not too worried about the data.
Mhm.
For you personally, Clayton, how important is security? And also, then how does that relate to, AV Codex and what they're doing to ensure security? You mentioned it a moment ago, but,
Sure.
dive into that a little bit more for me.
Yeah, my personal story is I think I've been a little bit on like the leading edge of it, so I've had to understand the risks and go, okay, I'm accepting those risks because I want to push the boundary and I want to learn. But
Right.
when we get into more of like, an enterprise or business situation where, if we have government clients and stuff like that, like we probably already have compliance with them on like where that information can even be stored and
Mhm.
what can be accessed for it. So we have to be really careful with what we put into these LLMs or different AI platforms we use. And that's why that zero data retention that we have on our enterprise tier within AvCodex allows us to make sure that that information is not stored in those chat histories. So it's used once, it's wiped clean, and then it doesn't exist anymore. So there's some situations and certain circumstances that type of like compliance is really important. And then there's other
Mhm.
situations where it might not be as important, but you still should understand what's happening with your information and still understand that there is a little bit of risk involved with anything with AI right now that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking to integrators and we're having a conversation about what AV Codex may be for them.
Yeah,
They're worried about security, right? They're worried about their individual people using their own individual, chat and so forth.
right.
How do you ensure that somebody can just jump in and start setting up their own AI agents? They've got no experience, just like you said you started. They're not coders. They don't know anything about setting up agents. What does this look like for them, and what is maybe the time commitment? Because some people may not have the time. I mean, we're going to share time, save time later, but
Mhm.
some people may not have the time. What does that look like? How do they jump in and just roll?
Yeah. So what we did with AV Codex is what we call it an alchemist. So basically, it's just Sonnet 4.6 LLM built within our platform that allows you to basically just talk with our platform to build out the agents you want. So if you can describe the agent, the role, the function, the thing that you're trying to like solve for, you just describe that to the alchemist, and it'll help guide you through and walk you through building out that agent. It'll define the whole system prompt for that agent. It'll tell you what connections you might need to do with our connectors module. It'll define any API connections, any sub agents. It can get quite complex and quite in depth, but basically just in a chat form,
Hmm.
working with that alchemist within our platform. So that's like the simple way to get going. We also have a wide variety of templates to start from within the platform. So that's everything from like, marketing teams and lead enrichments to sales teams to technical support to customer support and creating customer support bots. Like we have a wide variety of templates, and that's growing and building every day, every week as we encounter new opportunities and new ways that integrators or manufacturers, anybody that in the AV world that wants to build out agents for their business, as
Hmm.
these emerge, these templates get populated in there. So there's a few different ways to get going rather quickly. And then we also have we also can offer a course as well or a workshop for your team to go and
Cool.
learn how to use the platform, learn how to build with the platform. I've even had the request for us to come in and kind of be that AI operator role within a company to kind of help lead what AI could be for them, and then build off the platform that we have to build these agents within the business.
So, as you're building these agents and deploying into these organizations, um, I want to talk about the accessible knowledge that's available. Because I know if it were bestowed upon me to deploy this platform, but I didn't have all that knowledge. And we talked about leaning into, the lead technician's knowledge and getting all of, all the years of know-how that he has, how much of that business growth in AV is actually a knowledge transfer problem, and how can it lead into, making it easier through a platform like this?
Yeah, and you raise a great point, and I've encountered this with the businesses that I've been in as well. Is like these knowledge silos and transferring that knowledge into centralized places or a place that everybody can access. Like that's one step of the puzzle that's a little bit challenging in itself. But then the other step of that puzzle is how do people actually leverage that knowledge once it's there? How do they find it? What are they actually going to do with it? And that's the second part that the platform like AvCodex can help solve. So getting the knowledge into a place, we can work with senior technicians and work with these with department heads or whoever's running these different divisions and get that knowledge into places. And then we can find ways within the existing app stack or tech stack that you currently have and figure out ways that we can actually go and empower sales or empower marketing or the operations team or whoever it might be, or the customer support team with that information. So like a great example is, and I don't want to like call out any businesses, but I'm just going to go from my own experience where we have senior technicians who have a lot of knowledge on specific rooms and have worked, they worked at the company for 10, 15 years. They've worked with that customer for 10 or 15 years. That all of the rooms that have been done, all of that information resides in their head, resides on their laptop, resides in folders on their laptop. Maybe some of it's synced to a central location within the company. Maybe some of it's not. That can be a challenge, but I've seen that happen. And then from there, how do we once we have all that information, into a place, how can we then empower that customer support team? So rather than, in a smaller integrator, which I've been a part of a smaller integrator, to triage that incoming support call, take that information, take those notes down, phone the senior AV to the senior tech, talk about the room, try and get information back from that person to relay back to the customer. Like there's a lot of time that gets spent just trying to acquire the right information for the customer in an efficient time. And I've been guilty of this too, where that sometimes took days for us to like get the right. It sounds terrible. Like now that I speak about it now and hear about it, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like so bad that we'd have to wait a few days to like get the client the information. The reason why I say that now is because I see the power of what AI can do, and I've experienced it and lived it and have been doing it. I'm like, that information can be readily available at that triage support person's fingertips where they never would have to make that phone call. But we can even take that a step further now and give that information right to the customer themselves. So they can almost triage that problem themselves. And then we can capture that triaged information and deploy a technician within minutes through a chat agent or a voice agent, rather than having to wait a day and a half for emails to go back and forth or phone calls to happen. So I guess like that's where I see some really like powerful things that can be done. And I look at it, man, like there's so much stuff that I could have solved with the businesses that I was doing. I think like 7 years ago, this stuff 7 years ago would have like solved so many headaches. And I wish it was available then, but it's available now, and it's available for everybody doing it. Like there's so much power.
So in the AV integration world, what is the risk if I don't start considering this today?
Well, I don't want to sound like the guy that's built the platform that says you should put AV into your business. Here's what I really think is.
You can self-promote, Clayton. It's okay.
Here's kind of where I'm at in my thinking around where AI is for AV integrators and people within the AV business. There's an opportunity right now to get ahead. And if you've not even really looked at what AI can do for your business, like I hate to be the fear monger person, but you're going to get behind. And I'm seeing this in AV, and I'm seeing this outside of AV, is we're getting this like really big delta between people that have not even started and people that are leveraging AI, increasing revenue, making operations more efficient, and that's going to grow and grow and grow. So I don't want to like assume or predict things that I can't, but what my kind of gut feeling would be is the people that capitalize on it now and start to learn, invest, learn where it doesn't work, learn where it works well. Those people that are doing that are going to reap those benefits and rewards, and be people that get really left behind. It's going to be really hard to catch up. It's going to be really hard to catch up because we're not only talking about AI within your business, but we have to talk about like, what does that change management look like within your business? How do you scale this within your business? How do you scale people within your business to leverage AI? How do you teach them how to use it? There's a lot of human side of all of this that really needs to happen too. And that part, people that are getting ahead of that now, I think are going to position themselves to be position themselves in a much better light, I think, in the near future, let's say 18 months from now, that those don't even look at it.
So you've mentioned this delta between those people, and I want to talk about, I actually think that there's a step in between there that actually more people are within. It's not I don't use AI at all. I think it's people who tinker with AI and aren't good prompt engineers and all of that. And I do know you have a multi-week thing coming up. So I would like to ask you, what separates that person who just plays with AI into somebody who's actually making a change for the business?
Yeah, I think that separation is somebody that understands like the fundamentals enough of AI and how AI actually works, some basic terminology around it, some basic like principles, and not getting to like developer or engineering principles, but just like basic principles around AI. And then once you have a little bit of that understanding, you can then kind of like flip your creative brain on and be like, how could I do the thing that I wanted to do before that I never thought was possible? Oh, I have this AI skill set now that I can take and be like, okay, now this might be possible. Let's explore and go down with those like kind of basic fundamentals that would help you do that.
Yeah, we talked about an AI fundamentals course, and you know that, training in AV is near and dear to my heart. And I know that you have a course that you're working on, and I think that fundamentals course is something that is incredibly valuable and needed in our industry. But there's a next step after that. Can you tell me a little bit more about what your entire cohort involves?
Sure. Yeah. So and some of it's still a little iterative right now because we're working through it, just be really honest. But
Sure.
Once we get past that fundamentals, then we want to get into how do we take that knowledge and how do we actually go out and start to build real agents and real AI within our business to help solve some of those problems. So that's kind of when we get into some more of the technical pieces of like what a RAG system is, how do we connect APIs, how do we connect databases to this, why do we connect that, how do we work with the temperature of our AI. And when I say temperature, that's like how loose or how much leeway are we going to give our AI, or how are we going to tighten that up, and why. We start to learn about different AI models from Anthropic and OpenAI of which models suit the type of work that we want to do the best, because AI isn't free. We need to pay these companies like OpenAI and Anthropic to leverage this. So we want to also be like efficient with our AI usage and acknowledge that cost. So we want to learn that and understand that. We want to understand how we can actually deploy these agents. What is the best way to deploy this? Is it through chat? Is it through web? Is it through voice? Is it deployed back into a tool set that we already have? Why would we want to deploy it there? Where is it going to get its most use? So there's things like that we dive really deep into. And then we also kind of like leverage the power of the groups. So we learn from each other and learn from the creative things that other people are doing and solving problems within their business that might not be the exact same problem that we have, but we can learn from that and be like, hey, I could take that idea and I have another application that might fit over here.
That's awesome. Hey, Clayton, I appreciate you coming on today and having a chat with Eric and I. know it's kind of impromptu, but I was excited to get word out and what you're doing. If somebody's listening to this and they go, you know what, man, I need to call Clayton. He might be able to help us out with something in our organization to get started. I don't know where to get started. How they
Yeah.
connect with you? What's your webpage? Like, go ahead and pitch yourself as much as you want.
Yeah, great. So avcodex.com. You can hit me up at Clayton at avcodex.com. You could try and phone me. Do people still call people? I don't know. I'm
They
in
might
Canada,
text
so
Clayton. I don't know.
yep, text me. I mean, sure. I'm in Canada, so the number is 604-308-9299. Those would be the three best ways. And there should be actually some of our own agents deployed on our website that will even help people kind of point them in the right direction, help guide you to like what program, how you can get started, whether if it's, just like doing it for yourself or bringing us in to help do it with you, teaching your team on how to leverage AvCodex or just AI in general within your business. And then a few other agents that are you don't understand what it's doing, just go to the agent and say, what does AvCodex do? I have this problem. How could it help me solve it? And it'll give you some ideas.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, man. We'll get this out for people to find ways to connect with you. I'm excited to see this grow, and I'm sure you and I and Erica will be chatting more often as you continue to grow the business. So I think it's exciting, and we'll definitely be chatting again soon.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it, Erica and Joel. Super great to be here and talk with you today.
Yeah, thanks, Clayton.